Hello, happy Wednesday. I hope we're all doing good. It's your girl Seeker in the house, here for a short conversation, and then I get to start my day. I hope we're all doing good and life is good. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your unwavering support, your love, your kindness. Ikwamwa, how are you doing, sweetheart? I hope you're doing good. I'm just going to send you a message right now on your on Facebook. I just sent you a message. So watch that message. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing good. First things first. If you haven't pressed the follow button on Facebook, you're not my friend anymore. I'm joking. Please follow me on Facebook, TikTok, and most important, I know, honey, I know. I've been up for the last 3 hours. I saw your message. I'm like, oh boy. Yeah. And also follow me on YouTube. If you haven't pressed subscribe on YouTube, please do so now, please. There's almost 60,000 of us on Facebook. So if 1,000 of you just go to YouTube right now and press the subscribe button, I will be so pleased and so happy with you. I'll be so thankful. God bless you as you do this. The other thing that I also wanted to say whilst I wait for people to join is that please, if you haven't ever used Tap Send to send remittances to your family back home, do so. Use promo code AKUSIKA. If it's your first transaction and you live in America or Canada, it's $15 on your first transaction. There's some extra money to send to your family. If you're in England, it's £5, and in Europe, €5. I beg your pardon. Good morning, everybody. So finally, the response comes from Mr. Sarkodie. In response to Yvonne's memoir about her life and what happened. And many people would want commentary to see what I have to say. I have listened to the music at least 5 times since I've been up this morning and thinking about the whole thing and wondering what our brother was seeking to achieve by saying the things that he said. I have also read Yvonne's memoir. The particular chapter is the chapter number 8 for those of you who have the book or are interested in reading it. And I would actually encourage that you read the book because that's where everything that has to be said lies. First things first, I don't really know what my brother was seeking to achieve by trying to make out as if our sister was some kind of a cheapskate that was sleeping around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But even if that were true, what was he doing there? Didn't he know at the time that she is a cheapskate that everybody can sleep with before he also went sleeping around? For those of you who have read Yvonne's book, in the chapter of 8, she talks about how she loved musicians. And Sarkodie and other people were some of the people that were up and coming at the time that she had a lot of liking to. She got close to Sarkodie and a relationship ensued. She didn't deny it. She described it as a non-serious relationship, but a relationship in which intimacy was involved. Now, somebody gets pregnant and tells you about the pregnancy. You're not in a position to carry the pregnancy. This is what is in her memoir. And according to him, he prescribes that she go see a particular doctor of his, which she denies or says she's not going to do, right? And she goes to see her own doctor. And according to the memoir, she says, I think it's page 110, she says, that Sarkodie and his manager actually drove her to the hospital. He's not denying that. I didn't hear him denying the real important things in this book. I was expecting that he would up in arms say that he didn't do it. But I didn't hear him say anything like that. So one of the questions I have for him is, did he or did he not drive Yvonne Nelson to that Mamprobi hospital that day? Was he there or wasn't he? We want to know. So instead of throwing shades at her and saying how he wasn't the only one who slept with her, yada yada. Okay, so other people were sleeping. It's like a pot of soup. Everybody is dipping their spoons, forks, and knives into the soup, knowing full well that it's not exclusive. You also still went inside that soup and we're still dipping in the soup. So without being vulgar here, if everybody is supposed to come and put back the meat that they took from the soup, can you put yours back? How do we know what kind of meat it was that you took from the pot? You see, like sometimes when people try to throw shades at other people and insult other people, I call it nyashup eaten by fools. Hammer, how are you? I know. Ekwamwa, she has broken him. Let him come and take his own Gary. Exactly. Come and fetch your own from it now. What kind of rubbish is that? You knew that this pot of soup, many people have been putting spoons in it and taking from it. You also admit that you took from the soup. Why are you complaining? Like, I don't understand. What was he thinking? And she also says in the book, and this is very interesting, that after everything had happened, she now found out that he actually had a serious girlfriend who was abroad studying. And so it was convenient for him to go floricking with other people at the time. And so now he's singing the song and saying he wanted to keep the pregnancy and how, she was the one who didn't want to keep the pregnancy because she had to finish her education and it didn't fit into his yada yada, whatever the story is. I have just seen a tweet from Yvonne Nelson. Let me read the tweet to you. She's asking a very important question here. And the question says, and you would have readily agreed for me to keep a pregnancy when you were in a serious relationship with another lady who would become your wife. Your street line is played out. This is the tweet that Yvonne sent in response to what Sarkodie is saying. For me, at the end of the day, it's all about the lessons. And this is why I'm here this morning. I was actually quite disappointed. Who started singing about this whole relationship? Was it not Sarkodie? He's played so many, he's had so many singles or whatever it is about this whole relationship with Yvonne. Just that he never named names at the time. Who started this? Now who? Kosam. And the main point that a lot of us are somehow not seeming to see is that the whole issue about this whole relationship isn't about the pregnancy, but a lot more to do with how Sarkodie made Yvonne feel. They went, dropped her off, and drove up into the sunset, never going back to check up on this woman to find out whether she was dead or alive. So if she hadn't made it in that Mamprobi hospital, would we even hear about the story? Would we ever know that Sarkodie had even ever had a thing with her? Because he sang about it, but he never named names. To me, a story has been written. A memoir has been published. If you have something to say, get your facts together, sit down in front of a camera, and give a response one time. But he keeps going back. There's this music, then there's that one, then she responds. So where is the buck going to stop? Is he going to keep playing tracks every time she says something? And it doesn't look like this is going to be the first memoir. There are many memoirs coming. So what's going to happen? Is his whole music career going to be about songs to do with her? We have to be honest. There are some choices that will end you up in Mamprobi Hospital alone. And yes, and you have to... and to have your name through the mud too. Exactly. This is why I always say to my sisters that, before you go pulling down your drawers for anybody, your knickers for anybody, we women, we have to think about the consequences and the ramifications of what we're doing. Because two people always end up doing something. Two people always end up coming. Or maybe sometimes even one person ends up coming. Let's just be clear here. Sometimes only one person ends up coming. But when the cookie crumbles, it's only one person that gives the evidence of everything that two people did. And so when you're with somebody who is giving you the world, exactly, Sister Amma, be selective of who you open up for. And even decide whether you're ready for the opening up and the potential consequences that can come out of the opening up before you open. Because a lot of the time, when the opening happens and everything is said and done, you're the only one who is going to be left standing, having to deal with that opening up that you opened up. And this is what happened to her, right? She's not in the memoir at any point claiming that she was a saint. So the issue here is not about who is a saint and who isn't. The issue is what happened. And what a lot of us are not picking up from this whole experience is that. I pray Yvonne has a true friend at this moment of her life. I really pray that God keeps her. Somebody has spoken her truth, my love, and some people are not very happy because it's not convenient for some people. If Yvonne had written this memoir just like he had played his music and sang his songs and thrown shades at her without mentioning names, we wouldn't be sat here because we wouldn't know who the people involved in her memoir were. But she's chosen to write it this way. It's her truth. If you want to debunk it, hey, get out there and do that. But the main point for me that he hasn't addressed here, one of the main ones is this. He was seriously involved with somebody else that he was going to be married to. That person was somewhere abroad studying. So it was convenient to be frolicking with Yvonne Nelson at the time. There's an issue and now you're trying to throw shades about, yeah, I wasn't the only one she was sucking, yada, yada, yada. Who cares about who she sucked? Were you also not busy doing it elsewhere too, including her? Because you already had somebody too. So why didn't you stick to that somebody? Why were you also all over the place with other people, including Yvonne? Why? There are no saints in this story. None. She's spoken her truth. The only thing, there's no victim in this story. There is no victim, Sister Amma, in this story. Thank you very much. Ikuamwa says, emotional intelligence has left the room in Ghana. I think the naming is making our men very uncomfortable. Exactly. It's inconvenient, sweetheart. That's the true word. Her speaking her truth is inconvenient. The mere fact that he's a musician, and I guess this is bad timing because maybe he's got something coming out or some big show to go for, and this is not the right time for this kind of thing to be happening, and all of that, and all these shades throwing, they're not necessary. Something has happened, and I know somebody very close that this same thing that happened to Yvonne happened to, except that this person was actually married to the man. They had a third child. She got pregnant for him. And because he didn't want a third child, he laced the person's drink with something, some stuff. And then when it came down to it and the bleeding was too much and he was afraid that something was going to happen to the young lady, went and threw her in front of the hospital, just like this man and his manager did, and drove off and never came back. If this young woman had died, if his wife had died, she would have died for nothing. This is even in a marriage. So some men do things like this. And so the pain for Yvonne, which a lot of people are missing out on, is the fact that two people did something and one person gets to walk free and the other person has to bear the brunt of what happened. And so my sisters, if you know that you're not ready to be the only one standing and bearing the brunt of something that you and some person did, I beg, do this, don't do that. It's as simple as that. Because when the cookie crumbles, whether you like it or not, two people try to have a baby, only one person carries the baby. Yesterday, and it ties in very nicely with the story we're telling, Somebody sent me a message about something that was published on Ghana News about this young girl who met a man and they did the do and then she got pregnant. And after 2 weeks, when she went and found out and broke the news to the fella, he ran. He blocked her, disappeared into the sunset, never to be seen again. This lady struggled, had her child. The kid was now 3 or 4 years old and everything. Now 4 years later, he's gone round full circle and has now come back and proposes to this woman. Oh, forgive me. I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Okay, she says, fine. I accept your apology. So now he's proposed to her. They're planning their wedding and everything. And he pays for everything. On the day of the wedding, the bride decides not to show up. And everybody is up in arms, and you have to forgive. How can you do this to the man? She said, oh, so when your brother was busily leaving me to deal with the pregnancy myself, where were you? Yeah, this is his payback. Because for 4 years, he never cared about antenatal clinic, how to have the child, all the expenses to do with the pregnancy / having the kid, no child support, nothing. This is payback. And he's still not paying. So this is payback. I leave you at the altar after you've paid for everything. And that is payback for you. Like sometimes when some of us women do these gangster things to some of the men who think that it's okay to get somebody pregnant, but it's not okay to be responsible for what you do. And then come back and think that this woman is going to be a fool twice. These are some of the things that happen. Sometimes a lot of us have to just realize that the evil that men do lives after them. If you don't want evil things to happen to you, do good. Treat others as you would like others to treat you. Isaac there trying to tell me that he doesn't have a mother. He doesn't have a sister. He doesn't have an auntie. He doesn't have no cousins, like no women in his family apart from himself. He came out of a tree. If somebody treated his mother, sister, daughter, wife, auntie, any relative of his the way he has treated Yvonne, would he be happy? Question mark. The evil that men do always lives after them. And the fact is that we as a people, we always like, as my auntie Ya would say, always covering up and closing things that are inconvenient and comfortable conversation. He has a daughter. So if somebody does this to his daughter, would he be happy? Would he like it? Yeah. If the answer to that question is no, do unto others as you want others to do unto you. Man, it's about time that you guys awoke, like wake up and smell the coffee. The women in 2023 are not the same ones that our grandmothers and our grandfathers' time, where you could just get away with murder, do anything you like, and then the women just sit there with their hands to their chin and say, and he did this to me, and it's so bad, and it's so sad. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. Like, if you want to be respected, if you want to be treated right, you do the right thing. It's just as simple as that. So what is hurting Yvonne? It's not about him getting her pregnant, him having somebody else and coming into the picture. He got pregnant. She had to bear the brunt of getting rid of the pregnancy. Is he denying the fact that he never said to her that he was living with in his mother's house at the time and he was still being carried by somebody else and a pregnancy was inconvenient? He needs to say that. Number 2, is he saying he never drove Yvonne to Mamprobi Hospital with his manager? He needs to answer that one too. Like, those are the salient points that he needs to be addressing. He starts the music by saying that there were certain things that he didn't want to talk about and he wanted to take to his grave. Yeah, but he was happily singing about it. So which parts of the song or the story or what happened was he seeking to take to the grave? Like, you can't pick and choose what is convenient, and because he knew at the time that as soon as he start naming names, questions will be asked, and invariably he would have to explain certain things that, wouldn't be convenient for him at the time. So he thought it was okay to throw shades at her. Yeah, but it wasn't okay for her to also come to a point now where she feels ready to tell her own side of the story. And it's all just because names have been named. Right? If you don't want any part of a story told, don't start. 2, if somebody chooses to speak their truth, you can't gag them. You can't try to make them tell their own story, how it didn't happen to them. Like, were you there? I've seen so many people bashing Yvonne and, Sarkodie, you do all, and all of the. Where are the victors in this story? Because I'm not seeing any. This is not a happy time for Yvonne. This is not a proud moment for Sarkodie neither. Like, this is not a happy time, full stop. The woman didn't say anywhere in that book. For those of you who want to read, I beg you, go buy the book and know the facts in the book. Chapter 8 of the book talks about this whole thing that the song is about. It's not even a lot of pages. Probably 6 or 10 pages max. Go buy the book and read it. We Africans, or shall I say we Ghanaians, because I don't even know whether it's all Africans, but we don't like to read. Like, we don't know the facts. We just go based on some small snippet of something that somebody's put out there. But you can only know the truth when you read the book. Yvonne, at no point in that book or that chapter did she say anything about feeling proud. It was her proudest moment. One of the biggest mistakes she made in her life was that decision to get rid of that pregnancy. And if she could have her life over, she wouldn't. And she would advise anybody in that position not to do same. This is what she says in her book. So if you want to have the facts straight, please read the book. Read the book. And stop going on the back of what somebody else says. Some third hand, fourth hand, fifth hand of a story. When everything that you need to know is just in the book. Go buy the book and read it. Okay? Now, the thing that I want to say to our brothers is that sometimes when you guys are younger and you've done silly things in your past and all of that, you think that by throwing shades at women and saying that they're cheap, they're this, they're cheap, they're this, they're that, then somehow it kind of makes you the victor in the whole thing. But actually, when you point one finger at somebody, there's at least 3 fingers that are pointing back at you. And I don't know why a lot of us are not seeing that. Look, point one finger. This one, I don't know what it's doing, but there are at least 3 of them that are still pointing back at me. So when you're pointing one accusing finger, there's 3 pointing back to you. So think about it before you go accusing people of other things, right? Trying to throw shades and this was a community thing and everybody had their dip in. Yeah, but you also knew that and you also had the dip too. And trying to say how she was trying to lure you back into her house a second time, blah, blah, blah. Like, address the main points. The main points. Did you sleep or did you not sleep? We want to know. Huh? Did you dip your own spoon in? Yes or no? Oh, I'm sure there's so many people trying to reach Yvonne, my darling. And it's all here. So Yvonne, I'm sure, is hearing. If she wants to hear, she'll hear. There's so many people, I'm sure, that are around here at this time. Yeah. How do I even know whether I'm reaching Yvonne herself when there's so many people trying to be her? So let's just leave it. Let's just leave it there. But thank you so much, Sister Teresa. I see your point. Right? Like, if you're going to tell the story, tell the whole story. Don't try to make somebody out to be a bad person or whatever. The 2 of you went into a room or wherever you did whatever you did, and the deed was done there. Yeah. She said in the book that she used contraception or protected herself when she slept with other people. At the time, she was 25 years old and Uncle Sack was 22 years old, so she was even older than he was. Not that it matters in this whole story, but I'm just saying, go and read the book. Yeah, go and read the book. Sister Dede, how are you doing? Yeah, go and read the book. People are just throwing shades and saying all manner of things without knowing the facts on the ground, which is all in the book. Don't try to degrade or belittle somebody that you slept with because you think that by saying other people slept with her, then it makes you look good, like, hey, look at me now. Yeah, I don't finish them. What were you thinking? Or where were you looking? Knowing that it was a community area, but you were still enjoying that community area. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? And there's one word or one phrase that a lot of our men use that makes me so livid. Oh, this one, this cheap one, where everybody they chop, I don't chop them too. Cheap. What does that make you? Knowing that something is cheap, the soup is cheap, but you still took your expensive spoon and put in a cheap pot. What does that make you? Stupid. Right? So sometimes when you think that you're throwing shades at other people and making some people look bad and, you try to score some brownie points, ain't no brownie points being scored in this matter. None whatsoever. But my sisters, I beg of you, if Yvonne had the benefit of exactly, thank you so much, Sister Amma. If Yvonne had the benefit of hindsight, I bet she wishes she never open them raw like that for Brother Sako there to enjoy and now sit there and be throwing shades in music. If she had the benefit of hindsight. And I'm sure if he also had the benefit of hindsight, he also wishes he didn't put sugar in the pot. But he did. And it led to a bun being baked for him. Number 2, if you know you're not ready for pregnancy, I beg. I'm telling you, we need little Yvonnes to hear this and learn. Sister Amma, I can't stress it any more than this. Keep it closed. Keep it closed. Now nobody died keeping it closed. Somebody, if you can't keep it closed, use contraception. 99% proof. Yeah, there's some people who used all the contraception and still got pregnant, but hey, maybe at least you're trying. But keeping it closed and making sure that you've done all the due diligence on who you are doing this for before you do it. And if any consequences come from doing this, then you're prepared to take up the mantle and bear full responsibility for it. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go. But this is to my sisters. Girls are running wild on social media, but they need to know what that could mean in their future. Exactly. I saw a video also about somebody who said she used to do hookups to make money, and she got pregnant by a married man, and she had twins, and she's crying on social media. And I'm thinking, I'm not really understanding this crying. Yeah. Every time you do this, you have to understand that this has a consequence. And when it comes down to it, you're the only one who has to bear the brunt of it. You wish Yvonne would stop responding to him. Well, I also wish that he would stop making music about it, because he started this thing. That's not to say Yvonne would have never written her memoir, but he sang a lot of songs about it. Just didn't name names because it would have been inconvenient for his career. What was she thinking opening for a married man? Sister Amma, ask me and ask me again. When Yvonne looked at Sarkodie dressing in 2010, she knew straight away that this so-called personal doctor was Dr. Yu, and that's why Yvonne didn't go. Oh my God. Oh boy, that's funny. Yeah, but let's not make light of this issue. It's funny what you said, but exactly. You're not a medical doctor yourself, so you're a private doctor. What kind of doctor is that? Is it even a gynae? Right? And she tried. She says in her memoir that she got a friend to give her some concoction that she took, and she bled and blah, blah, and the pregnancy was still intact, eh? Oh, Sister Tori, how are you doing, sweetheart? Yeah, I'm reading the book too, Sister Amma. That's where all the nuggets and the truth of the whole thing is. And there's so many lessons to be learned from it. And instead of us women sitting on our cameras and bashing this girl, all kinds of people saying not everything that happened has to be aired on social media. You shouldn't wash your dirty linen in public. Really? Like, seriously. Oh yes, both of them must take the blame. You're not wrong. And as I said, Yvonne never said she was innocent. If you read the book, it never says anywhere that she said that she was innocent in this whole thing. But the whole point, which a lot of us are missing, is that Yvonne is upset with the way Sarkodie treated her at the time. And that's what she talked about in the book. Just 2 sentences. And if you've ever been a woman who's had children, if you've ever been a woman who's even had a miscarriage, you can put yourself in her place and understand where she must have been at the time. How can 2 people do something? One person and manager go to drop me off at the hospital and just fade away into the sunset. They never even called to check up on her. What if she had passed away in that Mamprobi? She said the sight of the building alone, and how how sad and miserable it was looking, didn't even fill her with any confidence or hope that she was going to make it out alive. Can you imagine how scary she must have? That's how scary that must have felt. Yeah. Right? And then she got left alone. Oh yeah, she would cry. I saw that story and I was like, what the hell is that? We girls must learn. We girls, we need to learn. If you want to continue doing this, if you want to do this all the time, then when you're doing that, you also have to understand, every time you do this, understand that pregnancy is one of the possible effects or consequences of this. Some people say, oh, but I only done chop am once. Where you come, they tell me, say, it be me give am belle. How many times do you need to do this before it happens? Like, how many bits of sperm does it take to fertilize an egg to cause a pregnancy? Oh, this thing where we do it just be 2 minutes thing where we do. And so what? That doesn't mean anything. Whether it was 2 minutes, half a minute, whatever. The sperm met the egg and it got fertilized. That's the crux of it. So let's not get it twisted. Let's learn what needs to be learned here. And for me, it's all about the girls. Because in this whole story, the only person who had to go through the pain of going into hospital, into some ridiculously God-forsaken building to have termination was only one person. But 2 people did something that one person had to bear the brunt for. So if you don't want to be that one person, you either do this or you make sure that you're ready for the consequences of doing that and the possible likelihood that you'll be the only one that is left to deal with this, the effects of this thing that you did. And if we understand that, the world will be a happy place for us girls. Don't let the sugar coating and the sweet things that men tell you lead you into thinking that, you know, oh, he said he loved me, he was always going to be there. Talk is cheap. Oh, some girls can't close. Okay, if you can't close, then be ready that when you come close and you do this, and this thing comes, that you're going to be the one that has to bear the brunt all alone. If you have the money and you can afford it, and you're mentally and psychologically, emotionally prepared for the belly, where don't they come? Then that's fine. But you can't do that and then cry foul and expect people to feel sorry for you for what you did. In this case, two people did something. According to Yvonne, they both decided it wasn't going to be convenient for him. It wasn't going to be convenient for her. Both of them were still needing their parents. Their careers hadn't quite taken off yet, which is why this should have happened and not this. Some boys can't zip. This is what we are hearing. So when the boys can't zip and the girls can't zip and the boys get with the girls, then the boys are now trying to make the girls look bad and call them all kinds of names and say that, you know, I wasn't the only one who went there. Oh, there were many of us who went. It doesn't change anything. The fact is, you took your expensive fork and knife and dipped it into somebody's pot of soup that you are now calling a community pot. What is an expensive, exclusive fork and knife or spoon doing in somebody's cheap pot? So that means you're equally silly too. I'm sorry, but that's what you are too. Yeah, but he's not singing about his stupidity. He's only trying to diss. The girls can also call them names. In the end, it's a mess. Absolutely. This time, there's nothing pretty about this, is there? Absolutely nothing pretty about this whole story. Not for Yvonne, not for him. It's just nasty all round. And there's nobody that gets to walk away from this with their head held high. So I really don't know why our brother is trying to make this out as if, you know, he gets to fade into the sunset with this thing, because he doesn't. It does not look good. He had another woman that he was going to be married to. What business did he have with Yvonne? That question must be asked too. Exactly. Thank you so much, Kwame. How are you? It's been ages. What did you go there to go and do? And now you're trying to throw shades and make out that, you know, yeah. What business did you have? Exclusive spoon dipping in community pot. It's a mess. No one a victor, no one a victim. The brother needs to defend himself, and so does the sister. Exactly. But Sister Amma, he's not defending himself, is he? The main points that he needed to make about this whole thing, he's not. He never said anything. He didn't say yes or deny the fact that he drove her with the manager to the hospital. Yeah, but he's throwing shades. Oh yeah, read the book and then dance to the song too. But the fact is still the fact. If he had also kept his pot to him, his fork to himself, and didn't go looking for any business in that pot, we wouldn't be talking about him. That's just fact too. We are always saying to women, close up, close up, close up. Yes, close up, because when this happens, you have to deal with that. But equally, our sons and our brothers also need to understand that they also need to keep their things zipped up too. Well, true, but it's also inconvenient for him, Sister Amma, what Yvonne is also saying. He doesn't like it either, does he? I'm not Yvonne Nelson. It's on YouTube, it's on Amazon, it's everywhere. That's the name of the... I am not Yvonne Nelson. That's the title of the book. Get it and read it and you'd understand the story. Yeah. Nobody gets to fade into the sunset with this whole thing. Yeah, nobody. So at the end of the day, my sisters, please, zip, close, put padlock if you must, put super glue if you must, Whatever you must do, do it. The embarrassment and the tension at home is his punishment. No sympathy for anyone. Yeah, she's dealing with her own. The guilt of what she did. The mental torture for what she did and put her body through. How, she had to always think, what if I didn't make it? Yeah, that's her punishment too. And he also has to face up to his and deal with it. So then nobody gets to fade into the sunset happily with this story. Let's stop bashing. Let's learn the valuable lessons. Women, close up. Men, take your so-called exclusive forks from people's common soup. And we are all in a happy place. If he had stayed with his serious girlfriend, we won't be talking about him. If she had zipped, we won't be talking about her. If she hadn't brought this book out, we wouldn't know it was her. It is just sad all around, Tori. It really is. Or maybe he wants to capitalize on Nikos' career as dying. Who knows, darling? Who knows? But whatever the reasons are, the fact is, those of us who are sat here, we all have lessons to learn. Every time, and I don't care how old you are, every time you go listening to somebody's thing that he or she is telling you, and you go open, my sister, that's a risk you're taking. Are you ready for that risk? Whatever the consequences of your actions are you ready to deal with the consequences of your action? If the answer is yes, you can open away, but don't come crying to us. If the answer is no, then zip up. Plain and simple. It has allowed me to teach my daughter valuable lessons. I know it would also allow you to teach your son valuable lessons as well. Sister, I know you well. Men, zip up. Women, close up. The world would be a very happy place. Yeah. No one gets to get off the hook that easily. Throwing shades is not the way to do it. Yeah. And when people tell stories and name names, it becomes suddenly very inconvenient for a lot of people. Yeah. If you know that you don't want your name named in somebody's story, play good roles in people's story. Nobody will talk about that. Or even if they choose to, it will be in a good light. They both messed up. But can't be calling a lady, yeah, that she's a street lady, but still hanging out with her after 2010. Exactly. He's just trying to save face, but this face saving it's not going well at all. It was your daughter who latched on for a very vital convo. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah. But I know you well to know that you're also going to drag your son's ear, drag your son by the ear and tell him a thing or two too. Yvonne is still pained at the responses coming from her. Of course she is. Of course she is. It's the whole mental and emotional thing that this girl is going through that nobody is talking about. Everybody is out there bashing her about this, that, and the other and missing that point. Yeah, he must also be on the street. This is how we know. Exactly. You chewed his ear. I know you well. I know that he doesn't get to fade into the sunset without having a conversation too. Yeah. All he has to do is to look at you or come for a hug. And then in getting his hug, he's also getting... I know, Sister Amma, I know what you're going to do. Yeah. You know? There's no happy ending to the story. There really isn't. Yeah. So let's just be done with it already. But the lessons need to be learnt. My sister, I've said it 1,000,000 times. If you close, oh, I know you well. I told you I've done a PhD in Amma Manson. Why why did she open up these kind of worms? But Nadia, we can't gag somebody or muzzle somebody into silence. It was her story to tell. If she wanted to tell it, hey, who are we to say, no, this story is too messy, don't tell it. It's her story, and she's told it. If she hadn't told it, there'll be no lessons for us to be learning. Sometimes, we always want people to tell memoirs and things like that nicer or more convenient or whatever, but she's just living her truth, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. It's just, to me, it shows that she's human. She's a human being that did a lot of silly things. And she says in that book, in that same chapter, that the only sex education she got from her mom was her mom telling her, forcibly putting her hand inside the pot to see if her hymen was still intact, and telling her that if she ever got anybody to break it, she would put pepper and ginger down there. Is that how to give your daughter sex education, my darling? Is that what she tell to you? Because a lot of us grew up without our moms and dads feeling comfortable talking about male and female genitals and telling us what would happen. A lot of us have had to figure things out for ourselves, sadly. Yeah. So she's told her story. Whether it's comfortable, uncomfortable, dirty, whatever, degrading, yada yada, inconvenient, it's a story, and she's told it. And who are we to judge her? She's told her story. She's speaking her truth. Sarkodie can also write his book and write his memoir. How can Sarkodie have a private doctor as a Brook Street boy? I don't know, darling. I don't know. Oh, yeah. I'm not disputing that. But the mom, too, is also out there. It would be nice to hear her side of the story. It would be nice to hear her side of the story. Why Yvonne was never told that this person is not your dad and this person is. Because the mom is the only one who knows who Yvonne's real dad was. The girl, at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, has gone through so much. You're not wanted, you're this, you're a mistake, yada yada. Those things, they do a number on children or on people generally. Because the very foundations of any human being are your parents. If your parents end up messing your head up from the very beginning, what do you have left? The gentleman is telling his side of the story too. Yeah, I'm not disputing that, but he's left a lot of the main things that need to be said out. Saying that she's a cheapskate and it was a community pot and everybody was dipping forks and spoons into. How is that telling your story? Did you do or you didn't do? Did you take her to the hospital or didn't you? Did you leave her there or didn't you? Did you call her or didn't you? What did you do? Now. Yeah, own up to the truth and tell your children the truth, however unpalatable it is. And if she had done that, at least when she was old enough to understand, we probably wouldn't be here either. But it's this person, then it's that person, then it's not this person, then maybe it's that person. Come on. How is that messed up? Why mess somebody up like that? Why? Anyway, guys, I said my own in response to Sarkodie's song. Ladies, zip up, keep it closed, put padlock, put super glue, put whatever you need to put to do this. I believe NY more than Sarkodie. I don't. But Sarkodie is just giving snippets in songs. He needs to write his memoir too. and give us all the juicy details just like she has. Yeah, and then we can judge her based, we can judge it based on its merits. But to leave the salient points of what happened there because it's inconvenient for him is what, yeah, I disagree with. And that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to that too. Right? But the most important thing for me is women doing this. This one is very important to me. Little boy's talk is what he's doing. Oh my God, Shyla, you're so funny. Yeah. If we zip up and make better choices of who sees your pot or has access to your pot, we won't be talking. I love you guys so much. Yeah, I hope that a thing or two has been learned from this whole story. As inconvenient, messy, not nice, inconvenient as it is, I hope the lessons have been learned. I love you so much. I love you all. Thank you so much for helping join this conversation, sharing your opinion and your views. God bless you. Mwah. Bye.